What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel on my Pirates podcast. Today, we are not continuing the Breaking Down Positional Guys group series. We're going to talk about Eugenio Suarez choosing the Cincinnati Reds over the Pittsburgh Pirates. This news came out yesterday, the time I'm recording this today, but basically when you're seeing this, I'm going to have this up Monday, so yesterday at this time. It came out that the Pirates basically tied the Reds in the offer sheet, but he ended up choosing the Cincinnati Reds, a team that the Pirates have kind of been in the running with is who's going to get third place, who is the team that is going to be fourth place. And when you look at both rosters, it can kind of be argued now with the Reds getting Suarez, you could probably put the Reds still in third place over the Pirates. Now, if the Pirates go out and do something at a third baseman of substance, maybe you can change that up a little bit. But the Reds went out and got the guy. Now, there's some things I want to talk about. This might be a shorter episode than our last one. If it isn't, then I'll be really shocked. But when I think about what happened with this Suarez thing, personally, I never thought it was going to happen. I never thought it was really realistic. There were all these reports saying, like, he wanted to go to a competitive team. There was the Rosenthal article saying, like, the Pirates are in there. But it seems like Suarez wants to go somewhere where he has a better chance to compete. The Reds, you could argue, have a better chance to compete because they were just a playoff team last year. You can see that. They got swept by the Dodgers, and they made it in, I think, the last day of the year last year, but they were still a playoff team. The Pirates were far off from being a playoff team, let's be honest. We would all love to see the Pirates back in the playoffs, but they weren't competitive last year. They have not given free agents a reason to say, like, whoa, we're going to be competitive. Sure, they got Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, but that's it. They haven't really added any boppers to the lineup. They didn't get Schwarber. If they would have got Schwarber, then you can treat this team a lot more serious. But they didn't get Schwarber. I want to go through Alex Stumpf's, the MLB writer for the Pirates. If you go to his Twitter, you can find it for yourself. But I'm going to read his Twitter thread kind of explaining what happened with the Pirates and Suarez. So the deal was 1 year, $15 million to the Cincinnati Reds, and it did include an option for the 2027 season. But let's be honest, is there going to be baseball in 2027? That's another hot topic. But here's what Stumpf had to say. Pirates offer the same AAV for Suarez as what he signed for with the Reds, and we're willing to go higher, according to a source. Sounds like Suarez chose a more favorable ballpark and a familiarity, I can't talk, with Cincy for a prove-it deal. Now, we also have to remember, Suarez was a Cincinnati Red for a number of years. I think he made the All-Star or Home Run Derby with them. I think it was an All-Star appearance with them. But he was a bopper with the Cincinnati Reds. He hit a lot of home runs there, and it is a very, like Stumpf said, a very favorable ballpark for Eugenio Suarez. And we'll get into his Savant page. I brought it up on a little YouTube short I did. I'm going to break some of that down as well. So at the Twitter thread, or X thread, or whatever you want to call that app, continues. Stumpf adds it would have been a 1-year deal, so 1 for 15, same as the Reds. Now, the next part is what got a lot of people going, and it's probably what has a lot of people still going today when you were watching this video. The Pirates were also willing to do a multi-year deal. And then he adds, for the second time this winter, the Pirates fall just short of an elite power bat. Of course, alluding, I would assume, to Kyle Schwarber, not Okamoto. I would think he's saying about Kyle Schwarber there. For what it's worth, I didn't think they had much of a shot with Suarez a couple weeks ago, but close is only good for horseshoes and hand grenades. Lineup has gotten a boost, but could use more. Great stuff from Alex Stumpf. If you don't follow him or sign up for his newsletter, go ahead and do that. Great stuff every week. I want to go back to the willing to do a multi-year deal thing. This is what stands out to me as, like, he probably just didn't want to play for the Pirates. Now, I also saw, like, I think it was Heyman or Passan said this is kind of like a prove-it deal. If Suarez, who hit 49 home runs last year, needs a prove-it deal, was his market actually ever competitive? Like, the Red Sox were hypothetically in on it. They made a trade the day of me making this, Jordan Hicks to the White Sox. People thought they were clearing money to bring in Suarez. Clearly they weren't. But, like, here's the thing about Suarez, too. His OBP stunk last year. He had a 298 OBP. But he hit the 49 home runs. He also only hit 228, but it's still the 49 home runs. Suarez is a guy that has always been power over hit. He's been a guy who hits home runs, but he's also going to strike out a bunch. Think a better version of Joey Gallo. Think the most elite of elite versions of Jack Suwinski on steroids. Except Jack Suwinski couldn't even hit home runs really last year, but that's not the point. But yeah, Suarez is a boomer bust player. Now, if a 1 year, $15 million deal to go back to Cincinnati is a prove it deal for him, so be it. But it stands out to me, the whole thing saying like the Pirates were also willing to do a multi-year deal to get him. That stands out as Suarez probably did not want to be a Pittsburgh Pirate. And Stumpf also brought it up earlier, like I'll reread it. Sounds like Suarez chose a more favorable ballpark and familiarity with Cincinnati for the prove it deal. Now, Suarez, I'm going to take a look at his Savant page. I'll read you some of these numbers, and I highly recommend looking at a Savant page. His hit spray chart is absurd. A lot to left field, and we all know the north side notch. It would not be friendly, in my opinion, to Suarez. A lot of homers to left, not a lot to right. When I'm looking at right center field, what he did last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home runs. So the right center portion of the outfield, wherever he was, Arizona or Seattle. Here's his batting run value. 89th percentile, a 23 on Savant. Very good. Base running, he stinks. Not expecting much. Fielding, he also stinks. He's a very poor fielding third baseman. But when he's hitting you 49 home runs, I can gladly subtract the defense. This team has been blessed with great defense from the left side of the infield. Let's be honest, though. Ke'Bryan Hayes couldn't hit, but he had great defense. He won a Gold Glove. Jared Triolo has a Gold Glove, but also just like Ke'Bryan Hayes, I would say he has the potential to be a better hitter than Ke'Bryan Hayes, but still, he can't hit the greatest. You need a third baseman. It's been since like the days of Pedro Alvarez where they have had a guy that has 30 home run potential or even 20 home run potential from the left side of the infield. And that is where the frustration is with this team. You had a number one priority on my list personally, and I would hope it's been on the Pirates list too, of getting a third baseman that can hit the ball over the fence. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of going out and getting Suarez, okay? I'm going to be completely honest with everyone, and that's going to sound stupid to so many people. I preferred Okamoto because I loved the fact that Okamoto did not strike out a lot in Japan. And he's even projected, when I did the Okamoto and Murakami episode talking about the international guys, his projections on his strikeout rate were even better in the MLB. That's why I wanted Okamoto so much. Suarez, he's going to strike out a lot more than Okamoto this year. But when he's hitting you 49 home runs, I can forgive the strikeouts. It's kind of like what I talked about in the Cruz video. If Cruz hypothetically bounces back and hits you 30-plus home runs and what we think he can do, he hasn't done that yet. But if he can hit you 30-plus or 25 to 30, but he still strikes out a lot, but he's still giving you maybe a 230 to 240 average, but he's hitting you all these home runs, I think a lot of people that don't really like O'Neal Cruz can somewhat forgive a lot of the strikeouts it is. You're not going to forget them, but you can probably forgive them if he turns into a 30 home run hitter. Suarez hit 49 home runs last year. 2024, he hit 30. That is a jump of 19. Now, let's be honest. He thrived at Chase Field in Arizona. He was not as good when he got traded back to the Seattle Mariners. Here's his K rate last year. This is what kind of stands out to be like the Pirates. This is why I wanted Okamoto more than Suarez. Suarez's K rate was a 29.8. That is good for 5th percentile on Savant. His whiff rate was on the 4th percentile, good for 33.3. His chase rate, he was swinging a lot. He had a chase rate of 31%. That's good for the 30th percentile. Squared up rate, 22.1. That's good for 18th. His walk rate was a 7. Yeah, good for 34th percentile. It's a really weird Savant page, like red and blue bubbles for a guy that hit 49 home runs. And it is baffling to see that this guy's market just crashed to the point where small market teams were the teams fighting for him. It is absurd that Suarez's market crashed so much that the Red Sox bowed out, that the Yankees weren't involved. I think this dude would have thrived at a place like Yankee Stadium. Like, I'm surprised the Yankees were not in on this guy. Honestly. Or any of the other bigger teams. Seattle even. Like, bring him back. I know he wasn't as good, but he's done it in the past in Seattle before he went to Arizona. Now, Stumpf brought up the ballpark factor, and then I brought it up kind of summarizing why he might not want to play at PNC Park. On Baseball Savant, there's a tool where you can look up how many home runs they would hit at a particular ballpark. Looking at what he did last year, where he hit 49, in 2025 in Seattle, if he played all year in Seattle, they have it projected like 54 of them would have gone out. In Arizona, 49 of them, so where he was. They actually had him projected more for Seattle last year, which is funny because he wasn't as good in Seattle. Now in Pittsburgh, this is where I brought up the whole north side notch thing in left center field. Pittsburgh is, I think, actually the lowest total. It is. Out of every major league ballpark on this tool, expected home runs by park, which is an adjusted stat. Now, it's not a stat that matters, but it's a tool if you want to look at if a free agent would be a fit to hit home runs in your ballpark. PNC Park would be the worst place for him to hit home runs. However, he'd still have 40 plus. He was projected 42 home runs at PNC. Now, other places in the NL Central, two of them, well, the next one, the St. Louis Cardinals Busch Stadium, that was only 43. That's the second lowest, tied with the Texas Rangers. Then you have the Wrigley Field Chicago Cubs, 45. Now you might be like, where's Great American Ballpark, or what you call Great American Small Park? Even the Brewers, I think it's American Family Field right now, and it used to be Miller Park. I love the name Miller Park, by the way. But not even the question today. Both the Brewers and the Reds, 54 projected home runs. That is more than he hit last year. That is the same projection as Seattle last year. That is more than what he was projected in Arizona last year. That is only behind 3 ballparks. And before I say it, if you leave a comment down below and get him, I will commend you on this. But the answer is, get your comments down there. The 3 ballparks are Colorado with 55, Oakland, or the now Sacramento Athletics, so another minor league ballpark, with 57, and tied with that is 57 is the Houston Astros, another left field paradise. That's why Isaac Paredes is so good in Houston. I see a lot of fans saying, like, go get Paredes. I don't think Paredes would be that good in Pittsburgh. And I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to pull up his stats really quick to see, like, that kind of tool with him at PNC Park. But, like, when I look at Suarez, like, he would still be a decent hitter. And you can't just use that to kind of look at all year for them, because you're not playing 162 games at PNC Park. That's why it's kind of an adjusted stat. You're still playing 81. That's half of the year. And it's like looking at what he could do in St. Louis or Chicago at Wrigley, it's not the greatest ballpark for him. So, okay, here's an example of Paredes, and I'll just read this really quick. Paredes last year hit 20 home runs in Houston. At PNC, he would be projected 11. In Busch Stadium in St. Louis, he would have been projected 9. He would have less actually everywhere, except for Houston, where he was actually projected to hit 22 if he played all year, every game in Houston. All 162. Everywhere else in the league, less. So Paredes, is he a fit? He'd be interesting, but I don't think he's a fit for PNC Park. It clearly seems like Suarez did not see himself as a fit at PNC Park. Now, could this be taken as the Pirates just suck at recruiting guys? That too. That's part of this issue. A lot of free agents, I know Ryan O'Hearn signed here, and Gregory Soto, those have been the 2 big names you've gotten. Ryan O'Hearn was an all-star last year, but let's be honest, and I like the Ryan O'Hearn signing. Ryan O'Hearn is not the X factor that is going to get you over the hump. He's not going to be that, like, league-shattering name. Like, Kyle Schwarber could have been that name. If you would have gotten Suarez, he would have been that guy to put this team over the hump, I could say, easily. Because you're adding 49 home runs to a team that hasn't had a 30 home run hitter since I think Josh Bell, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But I think it was Josh Bell the year he made the home run derby. That was, I think, the last time the Pirates have had a 30 home run hitter. I think that was pre-2020 as well, pre-COVID, which is not good. I think this might be the only team actually to not have a 30. It seems like it's like this team is allergic to home runs. They need power. You need to find a way to add power to this lineup. You're going to get set. You got it with Brandon Lau. You got it from the left side with O'Hearn as well. You also need it from the right side. Suarez could have added that. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I've said it in the past. I am not a big fan of Suarez. I wouldn't have been mad if they signed him. I'm honestly not that mad that they missed him because I've said in the past, if we get him, cool. If we don't get him, cool. But it's at the point now where, in my last video, I said, here's your other options. Moncada's gone. Willie Castro's even gone. The pickings of third baseman, it's very slim. This team kind of let this Suarez thing drag, and this is where I'm most upset about this as a fan. Not as someone just wanting to talk about it. As a fan, I'm most upset that they have let this drag on so much. If they knew that he did not want to play for you and there was nothing you were going to get him to change his mind, should have just pivoted. They should have just said, no, sorry, Suarez, if you clearly don't want to play for us, I'm sorry it didn't work out. Let's go see if we can finagle Moncada, even though I wasn't a big fan of getting him. He was probably least of my wants because of his injury history. Let's figure out Willie Castro at this point. Who knows? But no. Ben Cherington, Bob Nutting, and Travis Williams stood in the race. And we're like, we're getting Eugenio Suarez. And like it says at the bottom, so no Suarez. Suarez clearly said no. It stinks, but it is what it is. This team has dug their own grave in the past with the free agents that they have done dirty. And I know and this is what I like to say, I hate the whole like Rowdy Tellez thing that came out because every team does it. They'll cut guys for incentives, but since the Pirates did it and it came out to the public eye, it is going to be taken a lot more seriously because the Pirates have done nothing towards the national media that really deserves the respect of Major League Baseball. Nothing that really deserves the respect of any upcoming free agent to be like, oh my gosh, I have two offers on the table. The Pirates and the Dodgers. The Pirates are offering me more money. This is, again, a hypothetical situation. This will never happen. But say the Pirates are offering some guy $5 million. The Dodgers are offering a guy $3 million. You might be like, oh, I take more money. But where you have a better chance to win? The Pirates haven't been a winning team. It is going to take a lot to convince guys. And it's been kind of a breath of fresh air to hear Ryan O'Hearn say like how quick he was able to make his decision to come to the Pirates after talking to Don Kelly. And even Ben Cherington telling him they were going to add even more. He went on the Foul Territory podcast and said he was confident in Ben Cherington saying they are going to keep adding guys. And I think Ben might have thought that was Suarez. Just reading the room or like my personal thoughts on this. But yeah, to end this episode, I want to go through some of the other options. This is an example of why I'm saying the slim pickings are short and slim at third base. The guys left on Spot Track. Suarez, it says, is still available. He's not available. He's off the market. Third base, only. I'm also going to include my top option, I guess. I didn't even put him in the last video on third baseman. Luis Rengifo. He didn't have the greatest year last year, but he's been league average every other year. He's been competent enough that, honestly, if you wanted to put him with Triolo and pair him, I'd be fine with it. He's an option, but third base priority. If you're only getting a guy that you could trust to play third. Ramon Urias, Jose Iglesias, Miguel Andujar, Chris Taylor, John Birdie, and Giovanni Urshela. That is not that good. And whenever another name in there, they have his position as second base, but he's played it before. Good old friend IKF, Isaiah Kiner Falefa. That's your free agent options. If I had to pick, I'd go Jose Rengifo. That's not as exciting, but what is there left? The trade market, you could as well go, and I brought up some names last time. Alec Boehm, Mark Vientos, who I didn't bring up, but I would like to thank someone in the comments for bringing him up. I did want to bring him up in that episode, just kind of went past me a little bit. Those have been Boehm and Vientos. Ronnie Mauricio, I've seen some people say. Brett Beatty's not going to get traded, but he's another guy people said since the Bo Bichette thing happened with the Mets. I don't think they're going to get a trade for any of these guys. I think a lot of these beat writers, Beasley, Mackey, and all these guys have said they could see a trade happen for third base. They've been some of the guys saying Alec Boehm would be a perfect fit. I don't think the Phillies are trading Boehm because they didn't get Bo Bichette. I think that's off the board. I don't think the Mets are going to trade Mark Vientos for just nothing, even though Vientos didn't have the greatest year last year. He's done it, I think, the year before, or in 2023. He's hit them 20-plus home runs, basically. You can trust that. Could he do that at PNC? Who knows? But it's going to be weird. This team has put themselves in a corner with the third base position. And I think in the episode I'm probably planning on doing after this, when we break down the infield, what they have so far, we project their infield before spring training, like we just did with their pitchers. So go check out the last episode of the pod here. We covered starting pitching and bullpen for next year. Did a little preview. So this is kind of breaking the mold of doing that. So sorry if you were expecting the infield preview. Catchers we already did in the McCutcheon video, by the way. Only if someone in the comments wants to leave they want a catcher video, I will do another one. But now I'm getting sidetracked. This team has put themselves in a very tricky situation. It is either going to be, I think, Luis Rengifo or Jared Triolo. That is your opening day third baseman. I don't think they're trading for one. I think there's a crazy world where Connor Griffin gives them no reason to put him in AAA. If Connor Griffin plays his butt off and gets the opening day shortstop role, then you put Jared Triolo at third base. Maybe some of the fan base is more pleased and they're like they're more forgiving. Actually, that's a question I want to ask you guys in the comments. In the comments below, if Connor Griffin is your opening day shortstop and the Pirates do nothing at third base, and Jared Triolo is your opening day third baseman, so your infield opening day is either Horwitz or O'Hearn, the other one at DH, Brandon Lau, Connor Griffin, Jared Triolo. Are you forgiving this team for not getting a power-hitting third baseman if Connor Griffin is the guy at shortstop opening day? I want to ask you guys that. Because if Connor Griffin's here opening day, I can somewhat forgive, but I'm not going to be all like, oh, this is all sunshine and rainbows, because you clearly needed a third baseman that you could trust to hit, because I like what Jared Triolo can do. And I got a comment on my YouTube short I made about Suarez. Someone said they like what Jared Triolo can do, and they love the defense. I agree. But I also replied, I would rather see Jared Triolo in a utilities type of role. You can play multiple positions. He's done first base, second base. He's even played some outfield. Play him at short, third, anywhere but catcher and pitcher. It's fine with me. But he can give you great defense. And if he can hit in a pinch like what he did at the end of last season, that is a great role off the bench for Jared Triolo, or like a utility guy to play every day, but different positions that you can trust to play great defense in those positions. If he's your everyday third baseman, though, you have to see what he did at the end of last year all season long. You have to see it, and can you trust that? That is a question I think that we're going to tackle in our basically infield projections, especially when we get to third base, because this third base situation is very bleak. I don't want to say it like it's like the end of the world, but it's feeling bleak for the Pirates here. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts about Suarez choosing the Reds. Do you believe that it was a ballpark factor? Do you believe it was a factor of the familiarity to play back in Cincinnati, where he basically spent a good portion of his MLB career? Do you think it was just he didn't want to be a Pirate and those factors meant nothing? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know in the comments about like the question I proposed. If Connor Griffin's your shortstop at opening day and Jared Triolo's your third baseman opening day, are you a little bit less hatred on the team, or are you still like, should have got your third baseman? Let me know. Probably could have worded that a little bit better. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Wanted to get a quick episode reaction on this. Make sure to subscribe down to the channel down below. It will mean a lot. We're trying to get to 500. It would be cool if we hit that by opening day. Who knows? Make sure to leave a like on the video and comment your thoughts down below. I know you guys have a lot of them. Got a lot of comments on the last one. So thank you guys for watching. Means a lot. My name is Nathan. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a like, comment. And as always, let's go Bucks.